Welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. We're going to talk about We Can Dance before we get to the normal show. Okay? I'm going to tell you first off, we know that life is not perfect, right? There's no perfect. There's going to be issues. There's going to be things going on in everybody's life at any particular time. And me telling you that we can dance does not mean that you should be putting on a recital. I'm not asking you to go crazy with it, but we have to learn the universal language of dance. It's something that's going to help you to enjoy, release. You're going to have no shame. You're going to be in freedom. You're going to get in touch with your spirit. It's a stress reliever. It's exercise. It's an outlet. It builds confidence. It allows you to express yourself. It's fun. It's entertaining, motivational, inspirational, and you can get lost in a dance. You can forget your troubles for 2 or 3 minutes. You could do it anytime, anywhere. I don't care if it's just called tapping your feet. Maybe you do a stinking pop lock, you do a giddy, you do a line dance. Find a minute a day to put something on to get you out of yourself and get you in touch with the inner human being, which is called your spirit, and let them be free. And freedom to them is also just a dance. It's just a form of saying to yourself, I know I got bills. I know my kids are a pain. Maybe my wife or my husband is bothering me. But you know what? I'm going to zone out for 2 or 3 minutes a day, and I'm going to just let my mind float. I'm going to be above myself. I'm going to be inside myself, not sexually, so don't get me wrong there, but I'm going to be inside myself. And that inner being inside me, I'm going to let it just release me. I mean, there's no reason to be shy. You could do this when you're alone. Everybody should have a couple of minutes, even a family man with multiple kids, a family woman with multiple kids should find some space and time each day to do whatever it is that they need to do to have time for themselves. I don't care if it's pray, meditate, but in this and a dance, because there's no way to really express yourself freely more than just doing a dance step. Like I said, it does not matter what kind of dance you do because we're not all the same. We're not going to all move the same. There's no, even though it's the international universal language, there is just not one way to speak it. There are multiple ways to speak it. And I hope that you find something to dance about today. I hope that you find some reason to do a pop lock. I know damn the world's worst pop locker, but I guarantee you a commercial, a movie, a song that I put on each and every day is going to make me do a move outside of my normal just walking because I need that freedom. I need to stay in contact with my soul at all times. And I thank you for going through that with me. Just remember, life's not perfect, but find a way, shape, or form to have a dance step today. Now, we had this kid, Austin Thomas. Thomas. He's 15-year-old. He shot 5 people dead in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we have gotten back to multiple mass shootings in America again. We also had this dude, Wesley Brownlee. He's 43 years old. He's the Stockton serial killer. He's been linked to 7 shootings and killings since 2021. America has a sick obsession with serial killers. We make them into some kind of cult hero. I refuse to watch Dahmer because I've had enough of this. I lived it while it was going on. I didn't need any more. I don't need no more Wayne Gacy's. I don't need any more Ted Bundy shows. I don't need any more Ramirez. I don't need any of them in my life anymore. It's all negative. And I mean, people try to find twists and turns and ways to justify them. But this culture has always been obsessed with serial killers. I mean, one of the first names that we hear as children growing up is Jack the Ripper. Why are kids hearing about Jack the Ripper? 100 and something years later, we still delve into Jack the Ripper. We still make documentaries about Jack the Ripper. We still make movies. about Jack the Ripper. People named themselves in the entertainment industry Jack the Ripper. I mean, this enough is enough. One day there's going to be a Dharma rapper. Trust me. There's one day going to be some fucking rapper named Bundy, Jeffrey Bundy, or some shit like that. And you know it's true because infamous in this society, in this world, pays as much as being kind, gentle, sweet, and loving. Actually, people are bored by that. They're more interested in the mind of madness. Okay, so January 6th committee subpoenaed former President Trump. Now, we all know that he's going to appear at some point. He's going to plead the fifth to everything. I hope that this is just not a colossal waste of time. I hope that they come to some kind of accord and get this man where he can no longer run for any public office at any time for the rest of his life. If that is the only punishment that he has to face, I will be happy with that because I don't see America ever locking up an ex-president. I'll say that again. I do not see America locking up an ex-president almost no matter what he or she will do in their lifetime. But I think that you can ban a person from public office. I think that you can say you no longer have the right, because this is not a birthright. This is a privilege to run the free world. And he has blown that privilege by the things that happened January 6th and the things that happened previous years. And there are too multiple incidents to even talk about. So, you know what? We got this mindless violence in America. Now, I am pro gun ownership by legal citizens who have the right. I believe that you should have the right. If you have never done anything wrong and you've lived a certain lifestyle, you should have the right to be able to bear arms publicly and privately. You should be able to not have to wait for a superhero to come save you and your wife or your children when you're in a car on the road by yourself at night, or somebody attacks you by coming through your window or kicking in your front door. You don't always have time for 911 to respond. So I say to you, if you see somebody and you see that they seeming like they're flipping out and you know they have access to guns, try to figure out a way to get that person help. And if you cannot get that person help because they're beyond help, get in contact with somebody who can look into the situation. There are agencies, there are people who can look and investigate this for you. You know if a child is acting a certain way. You know if a child is posting certain things. Well, you should know these things. We got to take our head out of the sand because mindless violence is going to cause innocent loss of lives. And there's enough innocent loss of lives going on continuously in this country because I'm really upset at Mr. Austin Thomas. He didn't have to do what he did. With all the people who have come before him, this 15-year-old boy is so lost that he feels that he should just shoot people dead on a trail. That makes no sense to me. So we have the further adventures of the bugging out of Mr. KanyeWest. He goes on a show called DrinkChamps with Noriega. I have never watched DrinkChamps. Now, to come to find out that when he was on this show, which was actually an episode taken down by DrinkChamps, so I'll give him a thumbs up for that. But I give them no thumbs up for one airing this. Kanye said some inflammatory, ridiculous comments, and I'm going to quote you one. And this had to do with George Floyd. George Floyd passed away because of fentanyl, and that cop knee wasn't even on his neck like that. One, Kanye, you did not experience the pain. You did not experience the suffering. I don't care what a Candace Owen documentary says. Candace Owen seems to hate her people more than she hates anything, and that's a shame. And she's going to have to pay for that one day down the line. In this life or the next, she will have to answer for her hatred towards any color or nationality of mankind. That is not our job to hate. Kanye needs help. He shouldn't be afforded a platform to say ridiculous things because there are people who follow him like the gospel. I mean, you make a meme and you put it up on Google, And if it makes some kind of sense to some idiot, even though it's 100% false, they will post it and they will spread this misinformation. I had a situation like that this week. I ain't gonna call nobody no friends, and I'm not gonna call nobody out on it. But I decided just because of a meme, I no longer want to deal with somebody. But I have to keep it honest. I did a show where I said I do not bargain to keep people in my life, nor will I bargain to get people out of my life. The decisions that they make as grown-ups are it. I stand final with my decisions and I leave it alone. I wish nobody bad. I wish nobody harm. But there are certain people in life, no matter how long you've known them, you shouldn't deal with them. Poison is poison, no matter how sweet the poison tastes. Okay? But you cannot have Kanye saying anti-Semitic remarks. You can't have him actually slandering George Floyd. George Floyd family should take him into the court of law and sue him for slander. Let him feel some of the punishment for his foolish comments. You can't just go out there and say anything you want. There are consequences. Words are powerful. And there are people who will believe this. And there were people who now will actually think that fentanyl was the killer and not Derek Chauvin, who was convicted of this murder. See, you take the blame away from this white cop and you put it on this black man. I mean, how sick is this KanyeWest? Okay, so I watched a little TV, not a ton of TV this week, but a little TV. On the episode that aired before last night's episode, versus decline was epic. The king's decline was epic. The mask he wore was epic. When they showed the eye, that was epic. The argument with his family. All he wants is his family to do the right thing, but he did the wrong thing to begin with. He should have set up his brother Damon to be the king. And if he would have done that, we don't even have a House of Dragons. We do not even have a civil war between the families, because I believe Damon would have been able to handle the situation a lot better than his wife, Renee. And you know what? These are not easy names. So forgive me if I stumble on these House of Dragon names, because these are not everyday fucking names that you would hear if you met a neighbor or went to work today. Trust me. And you know I'm telling the truth. The Good Doctor was very good. We got new interns. Dr. Lim is now paralyzed, which I hope that some way, shape, or form, they find some kind of miracle to get out of this wheelchair, because I don't need to watch a show where I have to deal with somebody dealing with a handicap who was perfectly healthy just before. But if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Now, I know crime TV is huge, and I don't know if you watch it or not, but Fear Thy Neighbor is an outstanding crime television show. I believe it comes on the ID network, and I watched the last episode. It was about this guy named Stanley Ford from Akron. This dude was the world's worst neighbor. I thought I had seen a lot of Fear Thy Neighbors with bad neighbors, but Stanley Ford took the cake. And the ineptitude of the police department in Akron, the ineptitude of the fire department in Akron screams loudly. So if you get a chance, check out Fear Thy Neighbor. I think this is on season 3 or 4. You can start at the beginning. You can marathon this. I mean, it's going to piss you off, but it's going to also make you think about the people who might be living next to you. So that's just a heads up. SWAT came back. They had a 2-parter. Both episodes dealt with them being in Thailand on a training expedition, and it was very good. It came off as a little mini movie. I really enjoyed both episodes of Thailand. SWAT, I believe, is season 6, episode 1 and 2. And The Equalizer returned. I only watched the very first episode, but it dealt with Robin, Aunt V, and Delilah's PTSD revolving around Robin's job, and how her daughter finally broke it to her at the end, which I thought was a hot way to end the show. She said, "You know what, Ma, since we have to deal with this, train me to be like you." Now, I want to see where they go from that. I think that's pretty hot. I did not watch Walking Dead episode last night, but we are dealing with a situation where Mercer is at a crossroads. Does he do the right thing and back the Commonwealth, or does he do that's the wrong thing, back the Commonwealth and the present administration, or does he do the right thing and protect the people from what's going on behind closed doors? Because Lance is still going to be out there. I know Lance is going to play a major role in the last couple of episodes coming up. So I want to see Mercer and where he goes, because he has to have soldiers who are loyal to him, not to the Commonwealth so much, but loyal to him. And once again, we got the crew of The Walking Dead going in 5 different directions. They love separating these people. That's what they do on the show. I will be watching the episode that aired last night today to catch back up, and I'll have some thoughts on that next week. We had a UFC card this weekend, and it was horrible. So I'm not even going to really go into it. I thought it was one of the worst cards that I've ever seen on the UFC. But we have a pay-per-view coming up, UFC 280. That's going to be on 10/22, people. That's Saturday. Islam Masvidal versus Charles Oliveira. That should be for the title. Aljamain Sterling is going to fight T.J. Dillashaw. That will be for Aljamain's title. I don't know how T.J. Dillashaw, after 2-year suspension almost for failed drug tests on roids or something like that, gets to come out of the gate and get a title shot, but he does. Peter Yan is fighting Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley is moving up the ladder of talent that he has to now compete against. He can't be just fighting Joe Smomo no more. So this was a good call on Dana part. Shane Bradley is going to fight Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad is a solid pro, so is Shane Bradley. That should be a good fight. And Beneil Dariush is fighting Matez Garmut. So that right there should be an outstanding card. And remember, that's the 10/22 card. Then on 10/29 is also going to be a card. It's going to be Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. Andre Arlovski, who's 117,000 years old, is going to be fighting Rogerio de Lima. Dustin Jacobs is going to fight Khalil Muhammad, who's got a brand new nasty. Last couple of fights I've seen him. And Tim Means is going to be fighting Max Griffin. But that's 2 weeks down the line. Now, Major League Baseball, we had some shockers. First of all, shocker is that the Cleveland Guardians have pushed the New York Yankees to a Game 5 deciding game in the Bronx tonight. Yankees, we need this or we become kind of a laughing stock of a season. The Astros took out the Mariners. The Dodgers, who had the best record in Major League Baseball, blew it and lost to the San Diego Padres. The Atlanta Braves, the reigning defending World Series champions, have lost, and the Phillies have beat them. So now you got San Diego versus Philadelphia to see who's going to the World Series. You got Houston versus either Cleveland or New York. Hopefully it's New York, and we'll see how that goes. Aaron Judge really let us down in Game 2 by striking out 4 times. You cannot strike out 4 times in a playoff game at home when you're the home run king. You got to put the ball in at least into play. Maybe you drive somebody over from first to second or something, but 4 strikeouts is unacceptable. The NBA season returns, people. The NBA is back. Now, I like to do this each and every time. I just give you what I consider to be the games of the week, because there's nothing to talk about in the NBA because nothing has happened. So on opening night, you got the 76ers versus the Celtics. You got the Lakers versus the Warriors. You know those are big games. On the 19th, you get to see the Pelicans versus the Nets. So that's Zion Williams versus Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. A lot of star power there. On 10/20, you got LA versus LA. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard versus LeBron. Then you also have the Bucks versus the 76ers. That's Giannis versus what the hell is big boy's name? Giannis, well, they'll come to me. You know who the star is from the 76ers. Embiid. The 21st, you got the Celtics versus the Heat. The 23rd, you got the Suns, which is Sunday. You have the Suns versus the Clippers. These are what I consider to be the games of the week in the NBA coming up week 1. So the NFL, Carolina Panthers finally fired Matt Rule. Matt Rule was a horrible coach. I think he always threw his quarterbacks under the bus. We watched one season where he would start Cam, bench Cam, start Cam, bench Cam. Cam wasn't the same, but to be disrespected and mistreated like that didn't make sense. Matt Rule had this job, don't know why. He had a decent season or two at Temple. He had a decent season or two somewhere else, but it wasn't like he was this coach that was going to the playoffs in college. He had no rights to be an NFL head coach getting paid the money that he did. Now, he was replaced by a black man named Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes is a longtime Panthers assistant coach. And so right now, he's not the official head coach, but he has the title of interim head coach. Now I'm going to wrap up the NFL. You had the Vikings beat the Dolphins. Believe it or not, the Minnesota Vikings are now 5-1. Their defense shined. Miami's quarterback, Skylar Thompson, had to exit the game with an injury. He's the third-string quarterback. They had to bring in Teddy Bridgewater, who's the second-string quarterback, because Tua Tagovailoa is still lingering with that concussion. Jalen Waddle had a very good game. Hill had a very good game, but Waddle had 2 key turnovers, and the Vikings were able to capitalize on that. The Falcons beat the 49ers 28-14. Marcus Mariota had 3 touchdowns. He threw for 2 and ran for 1. Atlanta Falcons played this game like they refused to lose, and I respect them for that. And it was a very entertaining game. You might ask yourself, how could this guy be able to talk about every football game that comes on? Well, I watch this thing called Red Zone. Red Zone allows me to have a peek at every NFL game, and I legitimately watch Red Zone. I don't take this from highlights. These are my personal thoughts and feelings on the games that happen and what I thought was the key points of these games. The Patriots beat the Browns 38-15. Bailey Zappi, he's won his second straight start, and he's a rookie, by the way. He finished the game with 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions on 24 of 34 passing. This kid is maybe going to start a quarterback controversy between him and Mac Jones for who should be really the starter of the Patriot when Mac Jones gets healthy. Well, Bill Belichick will settle that, right? Bill Belichick's tied George Halas with his 324th win for second place all time for NFL coaching wins. Number 1 is Don Shula with 328. So Bill Belichick has the opportunity and chance this season to become the all-time winning coach in the history of the NFL. The Giants beat the Ravens 24-20. I'm kind of shocked. First of all, I'm shocked for a lot of reasons. I'm shocked because the Giants are 5-1. I'm shocked because the Giants keep coming back from these holes that they be digging themselves into. It's almost like a script. They get behind, Saquon does something, they stay close, and then at the end of the game, Saquon runs in for a touchdown to win. Daniel Jones wasn't horrible yesterday. Daniel Jones was actually 19 for 27 for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did fumble, but he fumbled right before halftime, so it was really no harm, no foul. He fumbled, and they went into the locker room, so he didn't hurt the team. But the Giants are 5-1. The Ravens seem to be going nowhere. That offense is just not clicking, no matter what Lamar does. I don't know what they do to fix that. And the Jets beat the Packers 27-10. Aaron Rodgers stunk. Green Bay stunk. This Breece Hall rushed for 116 yards and a touchdown on 20 carries, and he had a 34-yard rushing touchdown that pretty much closed the door on the Packers' chance of a comeback. It was the knockout blow. And I'm happy for the Jets. They are 4-2. I would not have thought that this was going to happen, but Salah said they were taking receipts, and I guess he wasn't joking. The Jets are playing good ball. The Colts beat the Jaguars 34-27. Matt Ryan, 32-yard touchdown pass to rookie receiver Alan Pierce with 17 seconds left, gave the Colts the 34-27 victory. The Bengals beat the Saints in a very entertaining game. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection is deadly. It led to 2 touchdowns and allowed the Bengals to come out of this with a victory. Another shock of a game. Pittsburgh 20, Buccaneers 18. The Bucs offense is stagnant. It's nothing really going on there. Mitchell Trubisky had to come in and replace Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett got injured, and he lifted them to victory. Like I said, the Bucs offense just does not look like it's clicking. No part of that team looks dominating. The defense is all right, but there are better defenses. Tom Brady's always screaming and hollering at his players on the sidelines. I can't see what kind of cohesiveness that has. They are living in fantasy island on that team if they think that they're going to make the playoffs playing ball like this. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 19-9. Kenny Walker III, his rookie, he rushed for 97 yards and a fourth quarter touchdown to help lead the Seahawks. And Geno Smith has been playing good ball. The Cardinals, much like Green Bay and the Buccaneers, all seem to be lost. These teams who are supposed to be very good are lost. In the game that everybody was looking forward to, the Bills beat the Chiefs 24-20. Josh Allen once again showed up. This man deserves more respect than he gets from the media. He threw for 329 yards and 3 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs had 10 catches for 148 yards and a touchdown. It wasn't like Patrick Mahomes played bad. He threw for 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. This was a big, big win for Buffalo because the Chiefs is the team that they need to have confidence that they can beat. Everybody else, they know that they can beat, but they need to know that they can beat the Chiefs, and they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. So this gives them a playoff advantage over Kansas City because the Bills are now 5-1 anyway. Then the game that affected me the most, the Eagles beat my Cowboys 26-17. The Eagles are now 6-0. Cooper Rush was put in position that he shouldn't have been, which led to him having 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. There was some questionable coaching once again by Mike McCarthy. In the first quarter, he could have threw a flag on a play of it was the position of the ball to see if they was 4th down or 1st down. He did not challenge it. It was clearly a 1st down. The referees were only seeming to make calls for the Eagles. They were not making any calls for the Cowboys. If I'm not mistaken, into the mid of the 3rd quarter, the referees had not called 1 penalty against the Philadelphia Eagles. Did they earn the win? Yes. Do they have a good defense? Yes. Do they have good DBs? Yes. Good D-line. Their running game is spectacular. Their coach is a gambler. He seems to like to go for it on 4th down. He doesn't even care if it's 4th and 5, he'll go for it. I mean, the Eagles will be there, but the Cowboys also proved that they are a solid team with a solid defense. The Eagles, what they do is they beat your ass in that 2nd quarter and they get a good lead on you, and then you have to play catch up, and they have a good enough defense and a good enough running game to actually hold the ball and stop you, so it almost makes it impossible for you to do so. This Eagle team might go 10, 11, even 12 games before they're defeated because they have some cupcakes coming up. Okay, now tonight's game is a game that I will not stay up late to watch. You got the Broncos versus the Chargers. This is one of those who gives a rat's ass, but I would think that the Chargers at home have to beat the Broncos. Broncos offense is not clicking at all, and the Chargers do at least have Eckers. They have what is Herbert, Justin Herbert. So the advantage is to the Chargers, especially at home. Now, next week's games, we got the Saints versus Arizona. That's your Thursday night game. Arizona is really playing bad, and I think they're playing for the season, and they're at home, so I'm going to pick them in that game. You got Atlanta Falcons, who are just dogs. I'm going to give them that. They're dogs. They're going into Cincinnati to play the Bengals, but I think the Bengals offense has turned it around, so I'm taking the Bengals. You got the Detroit Lions coming in to play my Cowboys. Now, this should be a game that Dak Prescott returns, and I'm expecting a stupid game. I'm literally expecting a 42-35 win by the Dallas Cowboys. You got the Colts versus the Tennessee Titans. True. I am going to take the Tennessee Titans to hold off the Colts and win this game. Green Bay is going to bounce back versus Washington in Washington. I just think that they're a better team than Washington. Washington stinks. Tampa Bay gets to go to Carolina. Now, Carolina is going to play them tough, but Tampa Bay has to win this game, so I'm taking Tampa Bay to win this game. The Giants are going into Jacksonville. I think the Giants are a better team than Jacksonville, so I see another home victory. Cleveland is playing Baltimore. Boy, this is a rough one. Cleveland's coming off a loss. Baltimore's coming off a loss, but I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson at home to win this game. The Jets are going into Denver. Depending what Denver looks like, and Denver is playing on Thursday night, I'm going to take the Jets more rested to win this game. Houston is going to Las Vegas. This is a must-win for Las Vegas, so I'm taking Las Vegas. Seattle is playing the Chargers. Seattle is playing hard and tough, but the Chargers, I believe, are just a better team. And KC is going into San Francisco. San Francisco's offense is come see, come saw. So I'm going to take the Chiefs because they have more offense and they beat San Francisco. Sunday night game is going to be the Steelers going into Miami. I think Miami will have Tua back. I think that offense will click. Pittsburgh just cannot score with Miami. In the Monday night game, we got the Bears going into New England. Bill Belichick is going to have a defense set up to stop Justin Fields. So I believe that New England will win this game. Now, we have bye games, bye week. The Bills on a bye, the Rams are on a bye, Minnesota Vikings on a bye, and the Philadelphia Eagles are on a bye next week. Now, what I'm going to talk about next week is 12-step programs, AA and NA. We know that they are popular, but are they actually effective? I'll give you my viewpoints and stuff on that next week. I'm not going to go into that today. That's just a heads up. The next week's show will be 12-step programs, AA and NA. Popular, but are they actually effective? I appreciate you sitting in with me. I appreciate taking time out of your day to listen to Strange Talk with Doc. I love to hear from you. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that you do not want to do. If it's organic and you want to send me a message or you want to correct me about something, feel free to do so. If you want to subscribe, I'm more than happy to have subscribers. But I don't feel pressured. I am never going to ask my audience to do anything but listen if they get the chance. And remember, people, please, if you get an opportunity every day to bust a move, if you get an opportunity to just shake off the world with a dance step or two, do it. There's no shame in it. There's no condemnation in it. There should be no way that anybody should make you feel bad or you should feel silly. You're releasing some of your spirit into the air, and it's all positive vibes. And I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you and peace to yours.